Once upon a time, out west, cowboys sang.
Get yourself an old guitar and learn a chord or two. You gotta learn to yodel-o-de-lay. Any old tune will do.
And you better make tracks or you won't be with us from today.
Why the concert?
Oh, I always sing in the shower.
Ayano rancho grande, ayaron de
The singing cowboy was a hard-riding, fair-fighting, straight-shooting man of the West. The singing cowboy, he could rope a ball and steer, toss a brema on its ear with the best. He could shoot 9 times from a 6-gun, a rough and tough and ready Mr. Clean. He'd rescue the girls and tie up the rustlers and sing a little ditty in between. The singing cowboy, how we loved every song as we learned right from wrong. That's the way it was with Tex and Gene and Roy, the singing cowboy. The singing cowboy, with his 10-gallon hat and a pat for his 4-legged pal. The singing cowboy, though a friend to the end, you can bet your boots he'd never kiss a gal. He never shot a man that didn't need it. You'd never find him drinking in a bar. When the sheriff formed a posse, he would lead it. He was working with the man who wore the star, the singing cowboy.
Howdy. I'm Tex Ritter's son, John. In the next hour, we're going to relive the fun of the musical West. The heroes, their sidekicks, the runaway wagons and the ranchers' daughters, the bad guys and the good songs. So don't budge from your bunkhouse, head for the pass, or roam the range, because you're about to see the singing cowboys ride again.
The singing cowboy. The singing cowboy.
Cowboys didn't always sing. The West went musical in the early 30s when some movie makers thought it might be fun to hear a few songs between gunshots. And they were right. The public was so hungry for these films that over 300 of them were made. By the early 40s, a Roy Rogers film could be expected to play in nearly half the country's theaters. Gene Autry set new fan mail records, receiving some 50,000 letters a month. Now, when all of this began, about 1934, you'll never believe who played a character named Singin' Sandy.
When castles high,
Would you believe John Wayne?
the sky, you were my queen of queens.
The Duke didn't sing for long, but he helped set the stage for a new type of hero.
Come on, Slim!
This new breed of cowboy could still outride, outshoot, and outsmart the bad guys, but he was special.
We are wanderers.
He could warble his way into the hearts of ranchers' daughters everywhere.
That's the first time I've ever been saved. And I loved every minute of it.
Well, if you're ever in peril, just call me. My name's Gene Autry.
Gene Autry.
Riding down the canyon to watch the sun go down.
Gene Autry was the first singing cowboy star, the first hero to use his own name as the character he played, the first man to receive a gold record. Gene and his horse, Champion, made 93 features together, more than any singing cowboy.
Get him, Champ.
Gene Autry's place in musical westerns is special. He was the first.
That gun gives you a little advantage, Autry.
Maybe this will make us even. Miss Williams, I'd like you to meet Roy Rogers.
Roy Rogers.
Then you'll be living Western style.
Roy Rogers was dubbed King of the Cowboys, and during his reign, made 89 features and 100 TV episodes with his horse Trigger. For 11 years, Roy was Hollywood's #1 money-making Western star. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans were one of America's favorite movie couples.
Do you know how to use this?
Yes.
Well, I guess you'd better come along with us.
Tex Ritter was a two-fisted lawman, the strong and silent type, formal with the ladies and firm with the outlaws.
I guess I better on my way now.
Tex made 4 of his 76 films with his favorite leading lady, Dorothy Fay.
I've been ordered to close the school. Town can't afford it.
She later became Mrs. Tex Ritter and my mom. My dad passed away in 1974.
Never mind them, Miss Manners. The school stays open.
I'm Jimmy Wakely, and this is my partner, Lazarus White.
You know that I'd be lonely here without you.
Jimmy Wakely emerged as a star of 28 westerns after playing as a backup musician in the films of the other stars. He was a mild-mannered, friendly cowboy, as quick on the guitar as he was on the draw.
That's fine, stranger. What's your name? Allen. Rex Allen.
Rex Allen was the last of the singing cowboys, and the only one who was a real, honest-to-goodness cowboy. In the final 5 years of singing westerns, Rex turned out 19 films. Some people call the singing cowboy films horse operas, and for good reason. Wouldn't you agree? The horse was the cowboy's best friend, loyal helper, and closest companion.
There ain't no lady gonna break my heart as long as I have my horse. No vamp can take the place I stand. A man's best friend is his horse. He never hollers for $10,000 and doesn't cause me remorse. There ain't no lady gonna break my heart as long as I have my horse.
I beg your pardon, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Ain't no woman gonna worry me.
Not only did a horse go everywhere with his cowboy, he also got star billing, ahead of the leading lady and faithful sidekick.
Calling romance, a man's best friend is his horse.
Do you have anything planned for Saturday night?
Well, I'm afraid so. Why?
Well, they're having a dance at the town hall. I thought maybe...
That's fine. We'll be there.
Sometimes being a good horse just meant being a good listener.
Now, I wonder who the other half of we could be, champ.
But fate tore them apart and broke each lover's heart. Oh, so soon.
I wonder how Coco's doing.
Did you see what I saw, Trigger?
We haven't lost it yet, have we, champ?
You're looking for trouble, and that goes for your horse, too. Get him out of there.
Trigger, don't drink that. They wash your dirty clothes in there.
Who does?
You did this afternoon, only you had them on at the time, remember? Spit it out, Trigger. It's nasty.
So curse the gold.
Above all else, a singing cowboy's horse had to love music. He probably listened to twice as many serenades as any leading lady.
You'll be wild and woolly if you do. There's dust on my saddle, rust on my gun. No more campfires, no broncos to run. No more lazy cattle to graze in the sun. Dust on my saddle, rust on my gun.
bronco could get up and travel pretty good. Like I'd go to chasing a heavy in one of those shots like that, I'd have to actually pull back on him, hide it and pull back on him, or he'd overtake the guy before we wanted to.
That act's 90% horse and 10% rider.
Maybe you could do it better.
Had the horse, I could.
The singing cowboy's horse seemed to have show business in his blood, and Trigger was no exception.
Oh, he would say yes and no and throw a kiss, and he did a whole dance routine, the hula hula and the high Spanish trot.
Gee, Roy, that's more than I do now.
I think you do pretty good.
Trigger had his own fan club?
Oh, yeah, we used to get a lot of letters, Trigger USA, from foreign countries, and he'd get them.
Here, hold that.
Although a horse's first loyalty is to his cowboy, there comes a time in every horse's life when he just wants to settle down and have a family.
Take it easy, old boy. We've never lost a father yet. No, we haven't.
It's a boy. It's another boy.
When Trigger sees this.
There ain't no woman gonna worry me. As long as I have my horse, I hope she's listening. As long as I have my horse.
The singing cowboy, and cowboy.
All the cowhands want to marry Harriet. Harriet's handy with the lariat.
But she don't want to marry it.
She's a having too much fun. All the cowhands want to marry Harriet. Harriet's handy with the lariat. She don't want to marry it. She's a having too much fun.
Stop it! Stop it or I'll shoot!
Please, miss, just sit this one out.
With the lasso she can throw a buffalo. Any old bronco in the rodeo. Round up any Romeo without a rope or gun.
The cowboy sure was good at saving the girl, but once he rescued her, he wasn't quite sure what to do with her. So, when a shy cowboy was in doubt, he'd serenade.
What kind of a song would you like to hear? I know one about a champion bronc rider.
Oh, no, something else.
Well, let's see. I know one about a fella in jail for stealing cattle.
Oh, no.
Sure is a nice night, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's an awfully nice night.
It clouded up and I thought it was going to rain.
I thought so, too.
Sure is a nice night.
Sure is a nice night.
Hello there. It's a nice night, isn't it?
Is that why you felt impelled to serenade me?
Well, you see, the moonlight makes me feel kind of romantic.
What were you going to say?
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, he was so. He was going to sing you that song about moonlight on the ranch house.
Why don't you sing it, cowboy?
Maybe I better.
I'll be singing in the moonlight to my love. Ole, 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 ole.
My love for thee
Were you a singing cowboy who always won the girl at the end?
I have always wanted to make a picture where I won the girl instead of the horse.
If it even looked like I would even kiss the leading lady on the cheek or something, I'd get a ton of letters from the little boys saying, leave that mushy stuff out of our pictures.
Oh, Dolores, my smelling salts, I feel faint.
Remember how the prince woke up the Sleeping Beauty? He had to kiss her.
No. Jimmy, were you one of those singing cowboys who always won the girl as opposed to my dad who said he never kissed the girl, he always had to ride off in the sunset alone with his darn horse?
I usually won the girl, but I think you're wrong about your father. Because Tex Ritter might not have won him in the script, but he won the most important girl of his life on the screen. His leading lady, Dorothy Fay, your mom.
Were you attracted to him immediately?
No.
Or you didn't like him?
No.
Wait a minute, what?
I didn't tell you this, but no, I really didn't like him. I came from a part of Arizona where the Cowboys didn't carry guitars. And I just didn't like him very well, Jonathan, and I didn't talk with him very much while we made films, and of course in the script, but between takes, and I guess it kind of intrigued him.
Do you always sing when you work?
Oh, most of the time. Just kind of seems to come natural.
Let's hear the rest of it.
When Brandon Day is done, there's music on the breeze.
But it took 3 pictures before we had a date, quote unquote, away from the studio.
What was your date like? Your first date with Dad?
How much time do you have?
At sundown.
Well, there you are. Good as new.
Thanks very much. And thanks for the song.
Get the train, time for us to start to a place where I left my heart. And I'll find my silver lining.
Roy Rogers,
in the
eh?
nights of old.
Dad! Cowboy music.
After the success of Oklahoma on Broadway, Roy and Dale put musical production numbers on a Western stage.
Eldorado.
They said, look, but mustn't touch. So that's her. She's not so much, so that's the belle of the Eldorado. Oh, she's pretty, I'll agree, but she's not the type for me. No, I like to see a girl who's sweet and fine. So I guess I'll mosey on, hit the trail, I'll be doggone. So that's the belle of the Eldorado.
And it is a fantasy, marrying your leading lady and riding off into the sunset together. Could you tell us a little bit more about you
Well,
and
that
Dale?
kind of shook up the front office, too, because they thought that our pictures were going so well together, and the people liked us together. And when we got married, they figured that this would ruin us as a team. But it worked just the opposite. They took Dale out because they didn't think it'd be real. But the roof fell in. We got a jillion letters wanting to put her back, and they put her back in.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Well, I've seen mirages before, but this is the first one that ever talked back. Are you a mirage?
No, and I hope you're not.
Roy and Dale have lived happily ever after in real life, but you'd hardly know it from some of the scenes they played together on film.
Are you hurt, I hope? First you steal the surrey, then the station wagon. Next, I suppose it'll be Trigger.
Oh, shut up.
You've been running us pretty hard.
Sorry if I tired you. No, thank you. I don't need any help.
You're the boss.
Am I? Then you're fired. Hitchhike your way out of there, cowboy.
But bickering always surrendered to an upbeat song and a happy ending.
All the cowhands want to marry Harriet. Harriet's handy with the lariat.
But she don't want to marry it. She's having too much fun.
The singing cowboy, a singing cowboy.
This is Gene Autry calling all cowboys. Calling all cowboys. Go to Bedwell Ranch at once. Rustlers headed that way. Calling all cowboys. Calling all cowboys. Rustlers are raiding Bedwell's Ranch. Go there at once.
I'm back in the saddle again. Out where a friend is a friend. Where the long-horned cattle feed on the lowly Jimson feed. I'm back in the saddle again. Riding the range once more. Holding my old 44. Where you sleep out every night and the only dog is right. Back in the saddle again.
A singing cowboy was usually called upon to save the day. But what kind of a day was he saving? An ordinary day? No way. There were runaway wagons to be stopped.
Oh, you really saved me, and oh, I'll never be able to stop thanking you. Oh.
Well, this is all right for the time being.
There were fights to be won. There were evil plots to be thwarted.
Did you catch up Brooks? Yep. Is he alive? Yep. Has the sheriff got him? Nope. Why don't you tell me what's up?
Why don't you give me time?
You won't get away with this, Dawgan.
I had a hunch we wouldn't get away with this.
Boys, we're bringing that load through Graham's Pass right away.
The pass?
Well, we've got to try to head them off before they get through. Danny.
Yeah.
You and Slim all set with the dynamite?
Sure.
Good.
But you can't do that, Tex. They got it loaded with dynamite. They'll blow sky high if we try to stop them.
Get on your horse, Ananias. We've got to stop them.
There were outlaws to be captured.
I'll take that gun.
I'll take that gun.
I'll take that gun, mister.
Hold it!
Don't shoot. Give me a break, will you? That's very funny coming from you.
One heavy at the studio who was under contract named Roy Barcroft, who worked with all of us. He was just a standard stock heavy. Now, every kid in the audience knew when his face came on the screen that he was the guy who did it. But it takes this smart cowboy 70 minutes to figure out who that bad guy is.
You got something to say about it?
Yes, turn him loose.
Okay. You asked for it.
A cowboy's day was filled with moments of quick thinking and instant action, which often spelled the difference between life and death.
Tex, look.
Well, that man's hurt.
Oh, a day in the life of a cowboy. A bad guy works from sun to sun, but a cowboy's work is never done.
Hello, Lambert. I thought I'd drop in and thank you personally for sticking your nose into my business this afternoon. Where's that telegram?
Telegram? What kind of a gag is it?
It's no gag. Where is it?
You better beat it, honey. This guy is crazy.
It's a wreck. I always told you boys never to start a fight unless you were sure of winning it.
I'm not finished with Wakely yet. I'm going after him again, and this time I'll use my gun.
The bad guys sometimes went to extremes to stay bad. They even borrowed weapons from the 20th century. By land,
We've got to stop that tank.
and by air. With all that rescuing and fighting to be done, a cowboy needed some help. But good help was hard to find in the musical West. However, there was the sidekick, always loyal, sometimes clumsy, never brave.
Well, don't worry about them. They'll never find us now. Every man for himself!
We're going to church tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Better take a bath.
Mm-hmm. That ain't me you smell, it's my horse.
His trademarks were whiskers and wisecracks. You're darn tootin', that's Gabby Hayes.
Gabby, I'll see you later. I'm busy.
So am I. Just lost $1,000.
Oh, that's chicken feed, you tin horn. I just lost $1 million. Just the man I'm looking for, you crawling sidewinder. You dad-blasted young idiot. Why, you young whippersnapper. Oh, talk sense, you blathering idiot. That's your fault, you young whippersnapper. Hey, where you go with that Surrey? Hey, come back here.
Get your horse, Gabby. We've got to catch her.
Not me. I'm too old to be chasing women.
Froggy, you've got to marry me. I've already put it in the papers.
Effie Tinker, don't you believe everything you see in the paper?
The first sidekick ever to make the list of top 10 favorite cowboy stars.
I beg your pardon.
Smiley Burnett.
Saved by a jackass. I think I'll go back and talk to the horses.
Let the horses talk to themselves. Let's look around.
But I...
Come on.
Well, I've reconsidered, and I don't...
Sorry, Alan.
It wasn't me, it was Slim.
You darn tootin' it was me. Let go of that.
What Slim Pickens lacked in courage, he made up for in being a good son.
When you gave me your promise never to fight, I told you that I'd be watching over you to see that you never broke your promise. Well, I'm not watching now. And besides, he hit you first.
Thanks, Ma. Wait a minute, Rex Moore said he's all mine.
Buddy Epson encounters some pretty stubborn clients as Detective Barnaby Jones, but playing a sidekick prepared him for it.
Hello. You're Rex Allen.
Yes, ma'am. This is Muscles Benton.
Senorita Morales. May I call you Juanita?
Oh, it is a pretty name, Mr. Benton, but I'm afraid you'll have to call me Janet Wells. Juanita's in the office.
Eureka! Rosebud! Rosebud! Look, gold!
As a sidekick, Pat Buttram struck it rich.
It's a bonanza. I've hit pay dirt. Maybe the mother-in-law load. Come on.
He only made one Western, but everyone knows this nose. Mr. Jimmy Durante.
Hey, Your Honor. You can't turn those mugs loose. They're guilty of mayhem. Why, they even sabotaged my new 18-buck fedora. It's sheer vandalism.
You're guilty of contempt of court.
That's the height of understatement, Judge. My contempt of this court is boundless.
$25 fine.
I demand a trial.
We'll try you right now. Have you a lawyer?
I'll be my own lawyer.
Proceed.
What's your name? Corny. What's your real name? Cornelius J. Courtney. What does the J stand for? Do I have to tell that? Answer my question. What does the J stand for? Jupiter. Aha, Jupiter. Now, Jupiter, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do. Then we're licked before we start.
I'm going as fast as I can.
This is madness.
How far are you, Dean? Hey, Dean,
The singing cowboy, not forsaking you, my darling. You made that promise when
Cowboy music doesn't age. I've grown up with it, and the music just never seems to grow old. My dad recorded High Noon back in 1952. And Gene's Back in the Saddle has been a classic for nearly 40 years. For Roy and Dale, Happy Trails is more than just a theme song. It's their signature. And the song that's most requested in the singing westerns is Tumblin' Tumbleweeds.
Drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. I know when night has gone that a new world's born at dawn.
I'll keep rolling along.
deep in my heart is a song.
Here on the range we belong.
Drifting along with a tumbling tumbleweed.
A singing cowboy didn't always have to rely on a six shooter. 6 strings is all Tex needed to shoot down this outlaw.
You play that thing? Well, sing, too. You play that thing? Oh, a little. Sing, too. Let me hear you.
Now, one day Cactus Pete walked into town. He thought he'd start in kicking things around. But he took an awful licking when he started in a kicking. Now Cactus Pete is 6 feet underground. Underground, underground, underground. That is where Cactus Pete can be found. For he wasn't on the level, now he's playing with the devil. Oh, Cactus Pete is 6 feet underground.
He's dead. You know, you ain't such a liar at that. You said you could sing. A little.
Wait a minute. This sounds interesting. I'm back in the saddle again. Out where a friend is a friend.
Where the longhorn cattle feed on the lowly Jensen weed.
I'm back in the saddle again. Whoopie-tie-I-oh, rocking to and fro. Back in the saddle again. Whoopie-tie-I, I go my way. Back in the saddle, back in the saddle, back in the saddle again.
That was Gene Autry leading the singing, folks.
Gene Autry's films provided a start for many would-be cowboy stars. One of these was a young actor, Leonard Sly, whose stage name was Dick Weston. A few years later, Sly changed his name once more to Roy Rogers.
Drop that gun, Bill.
Okay, boys. I didn't intend to use the gun anyway.
You were in a fist fight in a film with Gene Autry?
We did have a fight in it, a short fight in it. And of course, Gene being the lead in the picture, I think he whipped me.
You all right, Buck?
Oh, my right arm's sprained a little, my ribs stove in.
How's your throat?
My throat's all right, what?
Let's hear you sing.
Sing?
Yeah, sing.
Yodelay-hoo. You know.
Oh. Maybe now we should do disco yodeling. Maybe we can make a lot of money.
And there's music to the rhythm, music to the rhythm, music to the rhythm of the range. Hadi-yolo, yolo, 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 yay, yolo, yo, yolo, yay, yolo, 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 hadi-yolo, yolo, 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 yay.
You out there! Come one step near and old Bess here'll spit right in your eye.
Hi, Kate. Take it easy, it's me.
That'll teach you to talk back to a lady. And the next time you come pestering around here, remember, Aunt Oakley and me went to the same finishing school. Well, suffering sassafras. All right, you ornery nightingale, come out. And don't miss that D flat or I'll blow your head off. He made it. It is you.
Yippee-yay, yippee-oh. For a cowboy has to sing, and a cowboy has to yell, or his heart would break inside of him at the gates of the home corral. Yippee-yay, yippee-oh, end of day, home we go, home we go.
Why don't you folks out there in the theater help sing it? Don't you know the words? Well, I can fix that. Hocus pocus, gentlemen rocus, abba zabba, black magic, boom!
The stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas,
And the prairie sky is wide and high.
deep in the heart of Texas,
The sage in bloom is like perfume.
deep in the heart of Texas,
Reminds us of the one we love.
deep in the heart of Texas.
If you want to be a cowboy, just sing along with me.
Perka-deedle-dido, perka-deedle-dum, learn a cowboy's ABC.
A-B-C-D-A-K-M-N-O-P-R-S-T-U-V-W-X-Y-Z. That's a cowboy's ABC.
The singing cowboy, the singing cowboy.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lou Crosby inviting you to witness by television a special program sponsored by the Mesa City Chamber of Commerce.
By the early 1950s, the singing cowboy films had a competitor, television. The big screens gave way to the small ones. Moviegoers stayed in their living rooms, and the West was brought to them.
Got a coal stove there that'll cook 3 square. And
The singing cowboy's career did not stop with the death of the B-Western. The action cowboys had to look for something else, but the singing cowboy had his records, he had rodeos, he had nightclubs, he had county fairs and state fairs, and he could sustain in his music business. And I was so grateful that I was a singing cowboy because I never noticed the difference much. When the big Western went away, I just put all my efforts into my records.
What have you been doing since you left the movies, Rex?
I do a lot of the voices for their things at Disneyland. Believe it or not, I still play a lot of rodeos and fairs, and about 50 days a year I sneak out and try to fool the public again.
Gene, how do you spend your time nowadays?
I spend my time, I think, more time with the baseball club, with the Angels, and I stay in Palm Springs because the ball club trains down there, and I try to come up here in Hollywood about 2 or 3 days out of the week and take care of all of my mail, go around KMPC or KTLA and the other stations.
But I know you spend a lot of time at the museum being with the people, which I think is
I relive my life here every day, just about. My office is here, and when I hate a desk anyway, and I get sick of the desk, I go out and play Roy Rogers in the museum.
I have 16 grandchildren, and the littlest one is 2 and a half. So, and I have 3 great-grandchildren. Of course, I was married at 9.
Now, how do you feel, Rex, when you watch your early films? What
Horrible.
Really? Really?
Do you believe that? There's about 10 of those negatives that I'd like to buy and burn.
I just figure that guy's no actor. I just I'd look up there and say, man, he was lucky that somebody let him make pictures.
And, of course, to see Trigger and old Pat, we lost Pat about 5 years ago, and Gabby's gone, and I enjoy watching them to a certain extent, and it makes you sad, too.
I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences and gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in, just turn me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western sky. One like I used, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountain rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences and gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Low water's cool and clean.
To me, the happiest of all happy endings is watching my parents, Dorothy Fay and Tex Ritter, ride off into the sunset together. I've really enjoyed riding the range again with the heroes I grew up loving. Thank you, Gene, and Roy, Jimmy, Rex, and Dad, for giving me and millions of other little kids someone to look up to. And now, a special treat. 25 years after they stopped making movies, the singing Cowboys sing again.
See them tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. I know when night is gone, that a new world's born at dawn. I'll keep rolling along. Deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed.
just don't know how to thank you and Gabe and all the others for saving the cattle last night.
I really appreciate what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So long.
Goodbye, and thank you.
And thank you. And good night.
The singing cowboy was a hard-riding, fair-fighting, straight-shooting man of the West. The singing cowboy, he could rope a ball and steer, toss a Brahma on its ear with the best. He could shoot 9 times from a 6-gun, a rough and tough and ready Mr. Clean. He'd rescue the girl and tie up the rustlers and sing a little ditty in between. The singing cowboy, how we loved every song as we learned right from wrong. That's the way it was with Tex and Jean and Roy. The singing cowboy, the singing cowboy, with his 10-gallon hat and a pat for his 4-legged pal. The singing cowboy, though a friend to the end, you can bet your boots he'd never kiss a gal. He never shot a man that didn't need it. You'd never find him drinking in a bar. When the sheriff formed a posse, he would lead it. He was working with the man who wore the star, the singing cowboy. How we loved every song as we learned right from wrong. That's the way it was with Tex and Jean and Roy, the singing cowboy. How we loved every song as we learned right from wrong. That's the way it was with Tex and Jean and Roy, the singing cowboy, the singing cowboy.